Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to going into the best Bundesliga signings for the Premier League. Well, not necessarily the best actually, more like the key signings for the Premier League that had high expectations or generally have worked out even if they did have lower expectations. But I'm going to rank them. I'm just going to say what my opinion of them was, go through a few records and what they've actually done for the club. So yeah, there's quite a few people on here, so I will get on with it. First I've got Marco Marin, so starting quite low on this list. Marin only got one goal in 16 games for Chelsea, and he was pretty poor, to be honest with you. I mean, his only goal was in a 4-1 home win against Wigan Athletic in the 2012-13 season. Yeah, pretty forgettable. Only lasted 16 games before being sent out on loan a couple of times. He had a very disappointing spell at Chelsea, Marin. Definitely a signing Chelsea fans would like to forget about. Certainly didn't live up to the expectations in the end. So, yeah, disappointing one there. I'd say, yeah, 1 in 16 kind of sums it up. Andre Schürrle now, this guy had a bit of a mixed record, I'd say, really. I'd say Schürrle was the definition of like a mixed player, really. He had two spells in the Premier League, actually. Once for Chelsea, where he scored 14 goals in 65 games, and then for Fulham, where he got 6 goals in 25 games. He had a very mixed, and he won the Premier League with Chelsea in 14-15, then got relegated with Fulham in 18-19. So, big contrast there, and he played for both West London sides as well. Schürrle was alright. Schürrle was alright in the Premier League. He didn't set it alight necessarily, but he didn't do much bad either, to be honest with you. He was a bit of a mixed bag of a player. Scored a great goal for Fulham against Cardiff, one of the goal of the season contenders in the 18-19 season. I'd recommend you watch that if you haven't seen it already. And also, his highlight for Chelsea, ironically, probably came in a 3-1 away win against Fulham, where he scored a hat-trick. In March 2014, Schürrle netted a hat-trick to... Yes, and Fulham also went down in the same season as well. But yeah, I'd say Schürrle was a mixed bag overall in his Premier League career. Next up, Michael Ballack now. Different kind of player, Michael Ballack. Probably arrived at Chelsea a little bit later in his career, like for expectations. Still quite good at Chelsea as well. Often playing that number 10 role. Did a few key things for them as well. I mean, he won the Premier League, 3 FA Cups and a League Cup with Chelsea. So he had a success in his time at the club. He scored his biggest contribution, I'd probably say, is again Manchester United 2007-8 season. Chelsea United were locked in a title race, and Ballack scored 2 at Stamford Bridge in a 2-1 win. Was awarded man of the match as well. Yeah, I wouldn't say Ballack was a flop by any means. I don't think he was the player he maybe was in Germany, but he did well overall. Ballack, I'd say he was good for the dressing room as well. But yeah, I think Chelsea fans always hold him in high regards overall. But yeah, he got 25 goals in 166 games for Chelsea as well, so not bad overall, not bad for Ballack. He was certainly a player, I think, that was good to see play in the Premier League as well, because a lot of us were big fans of him before he came over back in 2006. Next up, we got Per Mertesacker. Now, after a really poor first season where Mertesacker looked well off the pace in the English game, and a lot of people were thinking he just looked like a bit of a joke, to be honest with you, he really turned it round, Mertesacker, and went on to have a very solid Arsenal career. I mean, he played for them all the way till 2018, and Mertesacker at the time was a bit of a panic buy. He was in August 2011. Arsenal just lost 8-2 to Manchester United, and Wenger was just buying players, really, like 5 players near enough in 24 hours, and Mertesacker was one of them, and overall he's gone on to have a pretty solid career. He's won 3 FA Cups with Arsenal, one of which finally scored him, the other one he was awarded man of the match, so he's certainly had his contributions, and also his first goal for the club was in a 5-2 win against Tottenham Hotspur in November 2012, so you certainly say Mertesacker's held in high regards at Arsenal. He's also gone on to be a youth team coach there as well. Yeah, 10 goals in 221 games for Mertesacker as well. Excellent in the 2017 FA Cup final against Chelsea, where Arsenal won 2-1. And to be honest, if Mertesacker retired after that game, it would have been a lot better, because he did go on another season, unfortunately. But that season he barely played, to be honest with you. And he just kind of looked like he was, a player who was nearing retirement at that point as well. But yeah, I say, scored in the FA Cup final versus Aston Villa and Arsenal's 4-0 win in 2015 as well. And yeah, he scored his first goal in a 5-2 win over Spurs. So fair play to Mertesacker. Had a pretty solid Arsenal career after what looked like that never would happen. Next up, Vincent Kompany now. Probably for me the best player in this entire list. Kompany is a Manchester City legend. I mean, Kompany signed for Manchester City before the money came in as well. One of the greatest Premier League centre-backs of all time, to be honest with you. Kompany got 20 goals in 360 Manchester City appearances, but that 360 appearances would have been a lot more if Company wasn't so injury prone, especially in his later years. Company did become very injury prone, especially when Pep Guardiola first arrived. It took him a while to get consistent games under Pep as well. Of course, we all know Company had a massive part to play in Man City's title win, scored on the final day of the season against West Ham in 2014, and then against Leicester City last season in a crunch game, Company scored a goal that was right out of the blue, really. Vincent Company never hits them from outside the box, but this one he hit went right into the top corner. And yeah, Company had won 4 Premier League titles, 4 League Cups and 2 FA Cups, as well as being the club captain. Great career, an utter legend for Manchester City as well. And, he also scored a key goal against Manchester United in the 2011-12 season I haven't mentioned. So, in most of the title wins, Company has played a big part in and scored vital goals along the way. So, certainly can't take that away from Company. He's a big game goal-scoring centre-back as well. So, as well as being brilliant at the back, a leader of men, excellent player. The best they've played at Premier League, arguably aside from the Bundesliga, I'd say. Next up, Edin Dzeko. Now, I always thought Edin Dzeko was quite underrated, to be honest with you. He was a big striker. He got 72 goals in 189 games for Manchester City. I think Dzeko, let's say, is very underrated in a way. He was competing up against the likes of Carlos Tevez, Sergio Aguero. He was competing against some good strikers in his time at Manchester City, and he always managed to do a job whenever he played as well. He scored in that win against QPR in 2012 as well. He equalised, so without Dzeko's goal, we don't have that Aguero moment, so he also plays a big part in one of the most iconic Premier League moments in history. On top of that as well, he scored 2 vital goals against Aston Villa in May 2014, when if City had to win to basically have a footstep of winning the title over Liverpool. And in the he also scored 4 goals away at Spurs as well in a 5-1 win in August 2011. He hit 2 braces at Old Trafford in a 6-1 and a 3-0 win. And also in the 2013-14 season, Dzeko got 26 goals in all competitions. And there's a season where Sergio Aguero was very injury prone and Alvaro Negredo's form fell off a cliff. Dzeko was absolutely brilliant. He stepped up for Man City and for me did a very underrated job in terms of them winning the league. Brilliant. I mean, he won two Premier League titles, a League Cup and an FA Cup as well. A great Premier League career for Edin Dzeko, in my opinion. Quite an underrated one. Never gets really looked at in a positive way at times. I'm sure he does by Man City fans, but I'm on about by the neutrals, really, to be honest. But yeah, good Premier League career, Dzeko. And that 13-14 season, he admirably stepped up as well. So always give him credit for that. Very good. Nigel de Jong. Now, Nigel de Jong was pretty much just a tough tackling midfielder. We all know Nigel de Jong mainly for the guy who fly-kicked Xabi Alonso in the World Cup final and was miraculously not sent off for that in 2010. At Manchester City, he played 137 games and scored 2 goals. He won the FA Cup and the Premier League there. He wasn't an ever-present in his last couple of seasons, but De Jong did okay for Man City. I'd say he had a pretty good career for them overall. He's got his first Premier League goal against West Ham as well. So, yeah, overall he had a pretty solid Premier League career without setting the world alight, really. I'd say he was a decent signing overall, so yeah, I mean, again, he's also one that signed before the money really came into Man City as well, so he's one of them who broke free before Man City were signing world stars, so fair play to him for that. Next up, Shinsuke Kagawa. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a sad story, really. Shinsuke Kagawa was unfortunately a bit of a Manchester United flop. He did win a Premier League title in 2012-13. He scored 6 goals in 57 games for Manchester United overall. His career highlight was probably a hat-trick against Norwich City, who would later on go on to get relegated in 2013. But yeah, I mean, oh no, sorry, they didn't get relegated. That was the season after, my apologies. Yeah, Kagawa's second season got 0 goals in 30 games, really summing up how much he just didn't work out in Manchester United, which was a shame because he was such a good player at Borussia Dortmund. High hopes from Manchester United fans, and despite them winning the Premier League, Kagawa just didn't really play a significant part in that, and he just never worked, unfortunately. It was a shame for him. He was shipped back off to Dortmund as well. Yeah, major shame, to be honest with you. But his first goal for the club came against Fulham in his Old Trafford debut, but yeah, it never worked out for Kagawa, unfortunately. He has to go down as a flop, which is a shame because I am a fan of Shinsuke Kagawa. It just never worked out for him. In England, next up, Kevin De Bruyne. Now, as we know, Kevin De Bruyne had a disappointing spell at Chelsea in the 13-14 season when he got 0 goals in 9 appearances. However, since then, Kevin De Bruyne has gone and played 209 times for Manchester City and scored 50 goals in that time, 2 Premier League titles, 4 League Cups, an FA Cup, and 62 career Premier League assists. De Bruyne has topped the assist charts in both 16-17 and the 17-18 season, and is well on his way to doing that this season as well if the season does continue. Yeah, De Bruyne has won Man City's Player of the Year in 15-16, 17-18 as well, and he was involved in the PFA Team of the Year in the 17-18 season. Great career for Kevin De Bruyne. Scored in the FA Cup final against Watford as well. He's in 2019. De Bruyne has been excellent for Manchester City, and I think Pep Guardiola suits Kevin De Bruyne's style of play down to the ground. And I think since Pep signed, De Bruyne is arguably Man City's most important player. I mean, yeah, absolutely excellent, say, Premier League career for him. I mean, what a player. And yeah, again, another very good signing. He arrived with high expectations from Wolfsburg when he did sign in 2015, but I'd say he's lived up to them expectations, De Bruyne, with what he's achieved at Manchester City. Excellent player. Lucas Podolski. Now, I'd say Lucas Podolski overall had a pretty average Premier League career. He got 31 goals in 82 games for Arsenal. Not too bad, bearing in mind the guy never really ever completed 90 minutes. He was usually taken off on around the hour mark, Podolski. I don't know if it was so much to do with his fitness or anything, but he never seemed to complete 90 minutes for Arsenal, Podolski. It was one of them. Yeah, Podolski, his main highlight from Arsenal, I remember, is that volley he did against Montpellier in the Champions League in the 12-13 season. Absolutely brilliant goal. If you haven't seen it, I'd go check it out. But as we all know, Podolski had an excellent left foot. And that was used at times in the Premier League as well. Whenever Podolski was like to line up and shoot with his left foot, you knew it was usually going to go in the back of the net. Yeah, Podolski, I think, again, at club levels, never really been remembered as high as he is at international. Most people know Podolski from his time playing for Germany. But he has had a couple of club career highlights. But yeah, his Arsenal spell was fine. 31 goals in 82 games isn't a bad record either from mainly the wings. So fair play to him. He has got a North London derby goal against Tottenham to his name as well in the 12-13 season. That was also his North London derby debut. So yeah, I mean, fair play to Podolski, but it didn't quite work out for him. I believe the signing of Alexis Sanchez in the 14-15 season pretty much ended Podolski's Arsenal career, as he was then sold in January, as he even said he needed some game time. So yeah, a solid Arsenal career, but nothing too spectacular either, to be honest with you. Nothing great. Henrik Mkhitaryan now, like Shinsuke Kagawa, a player who was very impressive at Borussia Dortmund, but never worked out in the Premier League at 2 clubs, actually. Manchester United, he got 13 goals in 63 games, and Arsenal, 9 goals in 58 games. Now, Mkhitaryan's had a couple of highlights in England. He did score the winner against Ajax. He did score a goal against Ajax for Manchester United in the Europa League final in 2017 as he won the competition. Other than that, though, I mean, he's won an FA Cup, Mkhitaryan, as well, I believe. No, not sure he has, actually. That might be wrong. My apologies. His scorpion kick goal as well for Manchester United against Sunderland in 2016-17 season, certainly something to go and watch. Even though he was offside, it still was a very good goal, and it was, of course, counted even though it was offside. But yeah, I mean, Mkhitaryan just didn't work out in England overall. They're very inconsistent. I mean, he started the 2017-18 season brilliantly for Manchester United. He got 5 assists in his first 3 games, and then his form never returned, and Jose Mourinho obviously fell out of favour with him, and then shipped him off to Arsenal in January. And Mkhitaryan, he got 3 assists on his debut against Everton for Arsenal, but nothing really too much after that. A very disappointing Premier League career, but he's had a couple of moments in England playing for English clubs, but certainly not lived up to the Dortmund season he had in 15-16 where he was spectacular. Yes, but a Europa League win for Manchester United and the League Cup as well. He won with Manchester United was his main highlights, I'd say. Dietmar Hamann, in my opinion, was a great in the Premier League. 17 goals in 396 games from holding midfield. Yeah, I mean, Dietmar Hamann scored in the penalty in the Champions League final shootout. Yeah, he's won the UEFA Cup, 2 League Cups, 2 FA Cups, and two Super Cups as well. Dietmar Hamann was one of just a Mr. Reliable player. Could not go wrong with Dietmar Hamann. Just a really good player to admire, really, Hamann was. He never did anything spectacular, but he sat in the midfield and always did an admirable job. Full credit to him, Hamann. And yeah, he also had spells in England with Newcastle as well and Manchester City, but his main days were at Liverpool, and he's mainly known for his time at Liverpool as well, for how reliable he was. I'd say he was a solid signing overall, Hamann, the German, and a good signing. Next up, you got Bastian Schweinsteiger now. If you're talking about players who were signed past their peak, Bastian Schweinsteiger is probably the first one you think of in the Premier League. Signed for Manchester United in 2015. I'm not sure if he was signed for morale or generally that Louis van Gaal thought he still had it, Schweinsteiger, but that wasn't the case, unfortunately. Schweinsteiger had a pretty much disastrous Old Trafford career, to be honest with you. 2 goals in 35 games from holding midfield, and one of them was a goal in the FA Cup as well against, I believe it was Wigan or Reading in 2017. And Schweinsteiger, yeah, his only goal for Manchester United in the Premier League was a 1-1 draw away at Leicester City. It was the year Leicester City were champions, but he scored in a 1-1 draw there. But overall, he had a really forgettable career. Jose Mourinho never really showed an awful lot of faith in him. And he just looked like he was past it, Schweinsteiger. Looked well off the pace, well past it. It wasn't a great time for him in England, but what came prior to that, though, Schweinsteiger has had an excellent career in Germany and will always be known as a great. It's a shame that Manchester United spell wasn't as good as what it could have been. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang now, 61 goals in 97 games. Now, Aubameyang is a terrific player. Obviously, talk of him leaving Arsenal this summer. Arsenal will certainly not want that to happen. Aubameyang's just a born goal scorer, really. Absolutely terrific player. Signed for Arsenal January 2018. To a lot of people's surprise, really, Aubameyang is a very good player, but with all due respect to Arsenal, who were kind of declining at that point, you'd think Aubameyang would have gone somewhere maybe a bit like Champions League football at least, but that never happened. Arsenal were in the Europa League and have remained in there since. Now, Aubameyang, he's been very good for Arsenal. Scored a goal on his debut against Everton, which should have been offside but wasn't given. But Aubameyang, yeah, he's just a pure goal scorer, and whenever Arsenal need goals, he's usually the man to get them as well. He's a very good player, Aubameyang. The only things you could maybe say is Aubameyang's been in 2 finals for Arsenal, not scored, and also another thing is, as well with Aubameyang, is in the big games at times he does look a little bit more lost, but I mean, it's difficult to criticise him too much. 61 goals in 97 games is a terrific record, and Aubameyang is a terrific striker, a proven born goal scorer, so fair play to Aubameyang, and Arsenal will do everything they can to keep hold of him as well. Next up, you've got Granit Xhaka. Now, Granit Xhaka's a player by now who a lot of Arsenal fans probably don't think should still be at the club. Xhaka's scored 11 goals in 163 games for Arsenal, and it's no secret Granit Xhaka at times is a liability. That is no secret that he seems to give away quite a few goals and often sloppy in possession, but I think Granit Xhaka gets a lot of stick, though, Xhaka, and obviously he had that incident with it for Arsenal against Crystal Palace in October 2019, where he did use bad language towards the fans, but it's a difficult one, really. I mean, Granit Xhaka has won the FA Cup in 2017 for Arsenal, but overall his Arsenal career has been very hit and miss, but I'd say more miss, to be honest with you. He has been a bit of a disappointing signing for Arsenal. I don't think he's what Arsenal really... When he signed for Arsenal, everyone was thinking he was this tough tackler, a tempo-setting player, but it's difficult to know what Granit Xhaka actually does sometimes, unfortunately, and yeah, I don't think he's certainly great, Xhaka, and he's been more of a missed signing for Arsenal, I'd say. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be at the club, but yeah, I mean, he's been okay. He has got a good shot on him, though, Xhaka, whenever he does let fly on that left foot. More often than not, he does hit the target or even score for that matter as well. So, yeah, not great. I'd say a below average overall for Xhaka and Arsenal. Next up, Naby Keita now. Naby Keita is a player I really do feel sorry for, really. Every time Keita gets a run for Liverpool, he seems to get injured or dropped, and more often than not, it's injured as well. Keita's got 6 goals in 51 games for Liverpool, but he's had so many injury problems. I feel really bad for him. It's just so difficult for him to get a consistent run in the team, it seems. But that's it. Every time he does, he just gets injured or something like that. But yeah, I mean, he is a Champions League winner, Naby Keita. I mean, he did score in the Champions League campaign as well in the quarter-final against FC Porto at Anfield. But it's just not quite lit off yet for Keita. But I do believe if he got a consistent run, he would be great. It's just a shame, really. He has been so injured and he's always been dropped. But I do like Naby Keita, though, and I do think give him a bit of time still, and he will become a good player. He is in a very good Liverpool team as well. Let's not forget, where it's not easy to break through. And surprisingly, Naby Keita arrived in England with the reputation of someone who gets sent off and someone who's reckless. He's not actually been sent off yet in England, Keita, and he seems more of an attacking midfielder, more than a holding midfielder. But yeah, hopefully Keita's career does take off in the long run. But so far, you've got to say he's been pretty average, going on flop. But yeah, I mean, hopefully his career does kick on for him, because he is a good player, I think, as well. Next up, Roberto Firmino. Now, of course, Roberto Firmino does play the false nine role, and let's be honest, he plays it to perfection, really. And some people don't understand Firmino. He's got 77 goals in 235 games for Liverpool. Now, that's certainly not a striker's record. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that certainly can be improved on as well from Firmino. But Firmino, the way he links up the front three is absolutely admirable, really. I mean, just how good Firmino really is. What he does, Firmino, that's the thing with him. Of course, he has won the Champions League, Firmino, last season as well. Yeah, he's just a pure link-up player. He brings the best out of Salah and Mane either side on the wings. And yeah, I'm a real big fan of Firmino. Always have been, really, since he arrived in England. And since he's been put in that false nine role, he really has thrived at what he does, to be honest. He doesn't get the numbers a pure striker should, but you got to say, though, what he does Liverpool and how much he adds to the team is excellent. He's been a brilliant signing overall for Liverpool. And in the first few months of his career in 2015-16, he really struggled to adapt to life in England, but he's turned it round, and yeah, fair play to him. Full credit to Firmino. He's for having a good Liverpool career. Next up, Leroy Sané. Leroy Sané has 39 goals in 134 games for Manchester City. And yeah, Sané's been at 2 Premier League titles, 2 League Cups, and an FA Cup. And Leroy Sané scored some big goals for the club as well, Sané. Signed as a young prospect, and he's gone on to be a good player, I'd say, for Man City. I think Sané, whenever he plays, he is frightening at times with how quick he is and, you know, just how much he can tear people apart as well, Sané. He also bagged a very important winner against Liverpool for Manchester City in January 2019. The game where pretty much effectively won Man City the title, I'd say, overall. But yeah, Sané's a terrific player, and he is linked with Bayern Munich. I think Sané would suit Bayern Munich down to the ground, so I wouldn't be surprised if a Bundesliga return was coming soon for him. But yeah, I mean, Sané's excellent, though. And criminally did not get taken to the World Cup in 2018 with Germany. I still don't know why they didn't do that, but yeah, Sané's been good for Man City, in my opinion. A very good player. A few honours, and he scored some big goals for them as well. And it seems to turn up in a lot of big games as well, Sané. Very good player. Next up, you got Bernd Leno. Now, Bernd Leno has been a good goalkeeper for Arsenal. He's already played 66 games, Leno, for Arsenal in a short career. Only signed for them in 2018. And at first, he was struggling to knock Petr Cech out of the team. I think that was mainly down to Petr Cech's experience. But overall, there's no doubt Leno's been pretty good for Arsenal. He's made the odd mistake here and there, but what goalkeeper doesn't? Yeah, I do like Leno. Very good shot stopper. And I think he's got a good career ahead of him at Arsenal. For me, he's arguably Arsenal's best goalkeeper for a very long time as well, Leno. So Arsenal will be hoping that they can keep hold of him anyway, and that he does continue his good form up. I'm a fan of Leno. Next up, you've got Emre Can. Emre Can scored 14 goals in 166 games for Liverpool from midfield, and the most notable goal he ever scored was an overhead kick against Watford in May 2017. Brilliant goal. Emre Can was a frustrating player at times, very hit and miss in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, he kind of had games where he looked brilliant. He had other games as well when he just kept taking 5 or 6 touches of the ball and wouldn't release it quickly. A good player, Can, and I think in the end, obviously, he did leave Liverpool on, I'd say it wasn't bad terms, but he tried to look like he was looking for a move more than anything. But yeah, Emre Can was a decent enough Liverpool player, but I'd say he was a bit hit and miss at the same time. Liverpool fans weren't too disappointed when he left, and I don't think he'd be making too much difference to the team currently either. But yeah, Can was hit and miss overall. That goal against Watford certainly worth checking out if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, Can, I'd say, was solid enough, but nothing special in the Premier League. Next up, Ilkay Gundogan. I must be one of the only people who thinks Ilkay Gundogan is actually an underrated player. He doesn't get a lot of recognition in this Man City team. I know this Man City team is littered with world-class players, but I mean, what a Man City time Ilkay Gundogan has actually had. I mean, he scored in a title clinching games against Brighton and Tottenham. I mean, he's had a pretty good Man City career, Gundogan. He's won 2 Premier Leagues, 3 League Cups, and an FA Cup as well. I'm a really big fan of Gundogan. Like, he's just 22 goals in 154 games, as I said, and he's just, he seems to score in a lot of games, and he always plays well as well, Gundogan. He always seems to do something good when he plays for Man City. Yeah, big fan of Gundogan, big fan of him. He doesn't seem to get the recognition at times that other Man City players do, but yeah, I think he's been really good. I'd say he's been a really good signing for Man City overall, and one who doesn't always get the credit he deserves, maybe, in my opinion, but yeah, every time he plays, he seems to really either score, get an assist, or play a big part. And he scored in some big games as well. Gundogan has definitely some big games. Next up, you've got Kagla Soyuncu. Soyuncu's a centre half for Leicester. 1 goal in 43 games to date. That goal was in a 2-0 away win at Crystal Palace in October. Yeah, or November, sorry. Yeah, he's been very solid. Up until Christmas, I'd probably say Soyuncu was arguably the centre half of the season. He has faded like Leicester have. His form has faded since Christmas. But yeah, I think he's been a pretty solid centre-back overall for Leicester, Soyuncu. Well, very good this season, actually. So, yeah, I mean, fair play to him. And, yeah, I mean, big things ahead for him in the future. A replacement to Harry Maguire. He's replaced Harry Maguire very well as well in that back four. Next up, it's Yannick Vestergaard, the final player now. Yannick Vestergaard for Southampton. He's been okay. 1 goal in 42 games. That was in a 1-1 draw at home to Manchester United in August 2019. Yeah, I mean, he's done pretty well overall, Vestergaard, I'd say, Southampton. He's solid enough. I think he's been okay. Nothing special, really. Southampton's form has definitely picked up since that 9-0 drubbing they suffered against Leicester. But yeah, I think overall Vestergaard has been all right for Southampton. He has solid up that defence overall. So, yep, and that's my list. Please like, share and subscribe and let me know if you do anything different. That was a pretty long video to do. My mouth is hurting a little bit right now after saying all that. I definitely do taking a deep breath. But yeah, I mean, overall, that was my list. And yeah, I think there's been some decent players signed from the Bundesliga. Hit and miss, really. Some players might have signed a little bit too early. I mean, that's why I've not rated the likes of Joel Linton because and Sebastian Haller. I think they've signed too early, really, to judge them just yet, because they can turn it round. Even though I certainly doubt Joe Linton will, at least, because I don't really know Joe Linton is going to do anything, to be honest. He doesn't look that good. Sorry, Newcastle fans. But yeah, overall, that's my video. Please like, share, and subscribe, as I said, and please spread the word around about the channel. And I'm hoping to get this more subscribers soon, and more and coming up with different content on my video to keep it fresh. But yeah, I'll see you soon, and thank you for watching.